as depressing as that sounds, it's an uplifting one, because I think if there's a legacy that she would want to leave, it's letting people try and do more, because she definitely did everything she could for this country. So I threw a little bit of an audible at you. For anyone who's listening to this episode, this is a bonus episode that is going out. We have our dating episode planned, which we're going to record straight after this. But we woke up today to something that I knew would happen in my life, but didn't ever expect it to actually happen. And that is the death of Queen Elizabeth II. So, I mean, like, what is your take on this, and what impact do you think this has?
Well, it's huge, isn't it? It's the change to the national identity. Our national anthem changes, the words change. It's now going to be a much more polarizing figure at the helm than the Queen ever was. Way more polarizing.
Did you see, not to throw any disrespect into this, because I actually don't agree with this, but did you see David Icke's post today?
Oh, God. I was wondering about Ike, because I saw fish and chip shop has gone viral where they were celebrating. They had a sign outside saying "Lizard Liz is dead."
Oh, that's so bad.
We're classier. Then I did think, oh yeah, what's Ike's?
You just put loads of pictures of Charles up.
What's he said?
Charles with Savile. You put loads of pictures of Charles with Jeremy Savile up.
I get it, but it's not quite relevant on the day. Not really.
The money will change as well.
Yeah, so much is going to change. I mean, it's not necessarily going to directly impact a lot of people's lives, of course, which, you know, is part of the argument some people have of how relevant are they anymore. But I wouldn't want to see anything abolished. Certainly not. There's big noise over social media now, especially on Twitter, of Charles should now resign, abdicate the throne, abolish the monarchy. Why? Where's the incentive to do that? Who's he doing that for, apart from you want that because that's your opinion? Why should the whole country change for you? It shouldn't. And that's the issue when we have these big popular, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say celebrity deaths. It is, people make it about them. And you have to remember that, okay, so she's the Queen, but let's look at the other side of the spectrum. She was a wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, etc., an employer, a friend to lots and lots of people. I have a friend of a friend, a guy that I've met a lot of times, a lot of love for the guy, a lot of respect. It's mad. He was in the Sun. He was a wrestler, and he was a butler at Buckingham Palace.
Wow.
Like, what a combo. Of wrestler and he was an amazing guy, really, really funny guy. And I'm just scrolling through Facebook, stuff like that last night, looking at 99% nice things being said. And it just kind of occurred to me, oh yeah, I wonder what David said, if anything. He's not said anything. And I guess he's not going to be in a rush to be posting on social media because he physically knew her. Like, she was a major part of an era in his life. The geezer must be quite upset, quite devastated about it all. It's normally very quick to post on like the jubilees and celebrations and birthdays and things like that. So obviously he had a lot of love for her. You got to remember, like, to a lot of people, she was a much, much closer figure. This does directly impact their lives because there's someone who's not there anymore. But I never physically saw the Queen. I used to walk past Buckingham Palace nearly on a daily basis. I've never actually physically seen her in the flesh. She was just a figure that was always there. And like you say, you assume it's always going to be there as well. I'm mad to say this, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I find I wouldn't consider myself a royalist. And I think going on to your point of abolishing the monarchy, I think, well, it's one of those things where just because you don't necessarily think something is useful doesn't mean that it shouldn't be there. Like, the monarchy haven't hurt me in any way. Like, they are fine. I don't think they don't do anything really in terms of head of state anymore. But I think they're a part of our culture. They're a part of our identity in the world. And she's been on the throne for 70 years. We're a very changing world, brought together a lot of the countries in the Commonwealth, and seen a lot of things happen. And I think, regardless of what you think of the monarchy, I think it's very hard. You have to be very cynical to not be incredibly inspired by the woman who took the throne when she was 26 years old. Like, who deals with their dad dying at 26 well, let alone have to take on such a responsibility? I think if anyone wants to be inspired to jump out the comfort zone and understand they can make it, she is the embodiment of that.
Yeah, 100%. Didn't even know what I was doing in my life when I was 26, let alone didn't even know how to hold a steady job when I was 26, let alone be able to take on some sort of responsibility like that. It's terrifying when you think about it. Yeah, man. It's a shame. Like, I was on a phone call at the time. That obviously my Twitter notifications go up. I was on a phone call in the Tesco, and it kind of shows as well how much people are constantly in their phones now, even as they're walking around. And just as it came through, I just said to the person I was on the phone with, like, obviously there'd been news she was ill, but no, she's died. And you could see people's jaws drop in, people instantly, thumbs going, texting, sharing the article, putting their social media post up, whatever. Like, where else have we had that? Like, even in 9/11, you had to wait until someone told you or you saw it on a TV. Now, big news like this is instantly there in your face. You can see people's reactions in real time. And everyone looked pretty shocked and upset from what I saw. You know?
Yeah. One of the things I'd love today, for as much as it's horrendously sad news, is all the incredible stories about how witty the woman was. Have you seen that great video that's been going around about the guy when he went, like, confidant and like known the Queen for years? He went hiking with her, and these guys didn't recognize her, despite saying, "Oh, can you hold it and take a photo of me and this guy who's met the Queen?"
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think you got the moment of like her at the Olympics parachuting with Bond, obviously parachuting with Bond, but with Paddington Bear, and like the things that she has done and done it with a good sport and a smile on the face, despite how busy she is nothing short of phenomenal. Into her 90s.
Into her 90s, man. Into her 90s. Even then, that photo the other day of her with Liz Truss, she's still doing her job. She's still standing. She's still mobile. She's still smiling. My God, in her 90s, how many people aren't even making it that far? Let alone with the amount of responsibility and chaos that she has had to deal with as well. It's crazy. But what a life, man, to have seen all the different things she's seen, not just in her life, but in her reign alone. It's I saw, like, NASA posted a tribute saying that her reign extends all space race at all. So she would have seen the first person going into space, as well as the first people on the moon, to what the hell's going on now. Crazy stuff that's going on. She would have seen it all. Just something like that on its own. That's documentaries for us. Even going back to the 70s, that's documentaries for us. Yeah. Seen so much stuff. It's crazy.
Maybe she knows more about aliens than you.
Well, if David Icke is to be believed, she could be in contact with 90% of them. My God. I saw a great post by this guy I follow on Twitter. It's a little bit out there, a little bit too much, maybe this podcast, or even some people that I speak to. He posted a photo of the Queen. She was with a druid promoter to talk of the dead, no matter who you're speaking, like, no matter what they've done. Bad karma to talk about the dead. Listed by druids. And he shared this photo of the Queen walking along with a druid priest. And for me, I'm like, there's something in that. There's something in that. I'm never going to criticize anyone again, because you never know who's protected by what. But that could be another episode.
Maybe we'll delve deep into that. But Piers Morgan said that that she's been on the throne 30% of Americans' existence, the United States of America's existence, and I just thought that is incredible.
Crazy. Well, Bojo said some nice stuff. Paul Standall said his post summed it up absolutely perfectly, and I hope I'm not misquoting him. I swear it was him that said it. That you feel like it almost felt like it was your nan's sister or something like that, something along those lines. Like, yeah, it's exactly what it felt like.
My great grandmother was very good friends with the Queen Mother.
Really?
So a lot of my family are royalists. So I haven't, but I found it really weird that I felt quite overwhelmed by it today. Like, I didn't think I would be, because it was just, to me, she's a a woman that waves a lot, an incredible woman that waves a lot, an aspiring one, but I'm not a royalist. But I think for me, it was this ever presence of she has always been there through my life, my parents' lives, right? They've only known one monarch. Very few people on this planet know. It's a minority of the world now because 70 years, right? It's people who are in the twilight years of their life that don't know one monarch. And so it was that thing where, like, she's in her 90s. Of course she knew she was in her 90s, but you don't expect her to actually ever go. You think she's going to outlive you. It's there. And then it happens. And me, I think, is an element of, call this depressing, call this motivating, depends how you look at it. But if this is a moment that I thought would never happen and it's happened, and it makes me realize, like, we all sort of sometimes procrastinate, don't act on things, don't do things because we have time. And in the same way that the Queen was always going to be there, I'll wake up one day and I'm 80. And that time will pass. And it makes you realize, like, it gave me a thing of, oh, nothing's permanent. And it gave me that little bit of a kick. And it was I think that was what a weird feeling was. But I think, as depressing as that sounds, it's an uplifting one, because I think if there's a legacy that she would want to leave, it's letting people try and do more, because she definitely did everything she could for this country.
Hell yeah. Now, that's exactly it. It's this false illusion of time, that we have time, even when you're young. And it's never the case, because you've never got time ahead of you, really. All you've got is right now. Like, no one's future is promised at all. It could be a case of a long debilitating illness. It could be a global pandemic. It could be hit by a car in 20 minutes time because you were looking at your phone. No one's got their time left. So it's a case of, what do you do with your time? What are you doing with your present? Because that becomes your past, and that's also set you up for a better future. But still, no one's promised that future at all. And we could talk about advances in AI and being able to upload yourself to a supercomputer. What happens when the power goes? It's still gone. The flesh vessel's still gone. There's no one's promised tomorrow,
100%. How do you think Charles will do? Do you think he's ready for the task?
Good Lord, it's not the most charismatic. Do you know what? I always thought he wasn't the most charismatic guy, but the previous, what was it? Was it the Jubilee or was it birthday celebrations? Whichever one it was recently. I was like, it's quite jovial, actually. I'm actually kind of warm into the geezer. Now, everyone's flawed. There's so many, obviously, bodies in the closet to do with the royal family. But at the same time, we're all flawed. Human beings are flawed as a species. We all are. Some do more horrific things than others. But, everyone's got their skeletons, So I don't know. I think, obviously, he was a very, very polarizing figure back in the 90s and the early 2000s for a lot of people. But I think the public's warmed to him a hell of a lot. Who knows how long he's going to be at the helm? What's it? He's in his 70s. 74?
That's a weird thought I had today. So many people lived and only saw one monarch, and we'll probably see three. We're probably going to see three. Yours and my lifetime, probably going to see three. It's crazy. All depends how long we outlive William as well. It's what, he's our age. My age. He's 1 year older than me. So it's a race. It's a battle between me and William. See if I see four monarchs or not. Come on, Will. Take it, bro. Take you. I'm not rating that hairline. I think Charles, like, he's done a lot in the last few years. Like, he's stepped up, especially when the Queen's been sick. He's done a lot more of the responsibility. So I think he will. And as we said at the start of this, right, it's not exactly like they really are the proper head of state anymore. So it's not exactly as much. There's a lot of work to do, but it's not exactly like it's necessarily life and death anymore. No, not at all. Not at all. But again, their relevance doesn't necessarily mean that they have to disappear. That we have to lose them. I think it is a case of national identity as well. I think it's a massive case of national identity. Did you hear does what? Go on. Yeah, did you hear the people were starting to sing "God Save Our Gracious King" outside of Buckingham Palace, right? And they always got the King line right, but send her. Some people sang her, some people sang him, and people were just really weird sort of thing where the national identity is so wrapped up in hers. Yeah, you can actually work out how to sing hymns. Yeah. It's so
weird to instantly go, right, okay, she's instantly died. We don't sing it one more time as God Save the Queen. That's erased now. That's gone. You don't sing that anymore. There's no final tribute, God Save the Queen. It's no. Instantly switches to the king. How weird.
Yeah,
That's strange. But yeah, that's going
so
to take
much.
a while for people to get used to. Thinking that it's going to feel odd for a long, long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's what a life, and a very inspiring lady. I think one question I'll ask you, because this is something I thought about whilst we were chatting before we close this very short bonus episode and get into our dating discussion. Do you think it was right? I saw a video today on the news about the royal family speak for the first time since, and they had this montage of these royal family members speaking. Do you think it was right to have Andrew and Meghan Markle in that?
Did they speak? Is that what it was, or it's just a montage of footage of?
It's a montage. They were all speaking. Now I don't know whether it was clips. Some of these were clips from the Jubilee of them speaking about how great she is while she was still alive, or post night today. But they're all in there. I presume Markle's must have been today, because I don't think she would have spoke at the Jubilee.
So for me, rather than abolish the monarchy, I'd rather abolish the mainstream media myself.
Yes.
But again, we have to remember Prince Andrew. Okay, let's say everything is true. And at the moment, we don't have full proof. I believe he is guilty of everything that's been said against him, but we don't have full clear-cut proof, right? For whatever reason. But at the same time, Geezer's lost his mum. Anyone else in prison would probably be let out for compassionate leave on that day to attend a funeral, that sort of stuff. He's allowed to grieve over his fucking mum, okay? Markle, I don't know, man. She's a weird one. I don't watch too much about it because it has no impact and effect on my life. I don't care. But at the same time, that's her husband's gran. I can't keep track of the tree. That's her husband's gran. Regardless of what stupid stuff she's come out saying, whether true or not, I don't know if she's directly referenced the Queen.
It seems like she was better in with the Queen than the others, I think.
I don't know. And for me, that speaks volumes. All the different, what do you call them? Not tragedies. Like all the ones who've been in the news for bad things. I'm forgetting the word. But where was that? When have we ever heard that about the Queen?
No.
Really? We haven't. Not really. So I don't know, I think obviously the media needs to create a bit of a story and a bit more popularity and a bit more division. They've already got people thinking what are Andrew and Meghan going to say. So let's give the people what they want and get a quote. But then more would probably be being said if they weren't featured in that montage as well. You can't win.
If you get that early, I suppose, and it's just nice things as you would obviously expect.
Yeah.
Then no one's sitting there speculating. You just cut that off.
As if they're ever going to come out saying anything bad either. As if like, oh, right, we've got Meghan Markle. Everyone tunes into here. She's going to say what she really thinks. And that is, for months, there's probably going to be people dissecting that video going, oh, her eyebrow goes up here. That means she's lying about. Who gives a fuck? Who's got the time for this? This is why we abolished the fucking media, not the monarchy. But no, I don't know, man. I don't know. And it's the same thing for Andrew. People can sit there judging him, but again, not everyone is squeaky clean.
I'd also argue with Andrew to a degree, not to turn the topic to something heinous here, but with regards to what happened with him, he had, as far as he was aware, he had sex with a 16-year-old kid in the United Kingdom. And the question is whether he knew what was going on with his friends, like how that woman came to that party. If, on face value, he just slept with a 16-year-old person in England, he's not done anything illegal, he's just a bad husband.
Yeah.
Which we shouldn't all jump on Danny's neck for. Whether he knew the whole story is a totally different thing. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But to close this off away from the conspiracy theories, I think we had to do something like this today. I think you've got to rest in peace to an incredible, inspiring woman. And it's going to be really different. It's going to be really weird next time I see Rugby Shirt put on this jersey and sing God Save Our King.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be like when boy bands from the 90s released a new version of the song about 20 years later and they changed lyrics. It's not going to be right, you know?
I think on that note, we'll close this one. We'll transfer across. So you guys will hear this in reverse. This will go out tomorrow and you will hear on Wednesday what follows. So Cheers, Liz. You did us proud.
Cheers, Mark.
Hey guys, thank you very much for watching the podcast. If you're like me and like to binge watch podcast episodes, click here for our most recent episode. And if you enjoy the show and want to be updated when new videos come live, click here to subscribe to the channel.